Hi and welcome back. Today you're going to make a zip-up cardigan sweater like Mr. Rogers used to wear. You're going to learn to layer garments on top of one another in Clo3D, and you're going to learn to make some knit custom patterns. Files needed for this project can be downloaded for free in my Gumroad store, including the sweater, the sleeves, and the graphics and the necktie. I'm going to gloss over some of the tools and processes. These are things you ought to know already, so if you're a little bit unfamiliar with Clo3D, I encourage you to watch my sweatshirt video here. It's going to cover a lot of the things that we'll do in the beginning. Let's start by adding a button-down shirt from the modular library. Choose a front and back, and don't add any sleeves. Select the collar too. In the 3D window, grab the button tool and delete all of the buttons. Now select the outer collar and move it up, then deactivate it. Now you'll add a necktie from the Gumroad store. This is a garment file. It comes in with a fake Windsor knot and it fully wraps around the neck, but we don't need all of that. Place the necktie and the collar near one another in the 2D window. Now in the 3D window, click where you want to cut off the tie. It makes a chalk mark and then add an internal line there and cut both sides. Now you can delete the back, and here's what it looks like. Let's mark a place where an internal line will go around the neck, and that's how we're going to sew it to the collar. And we're going to sew this tie using two internal lines, and that's going to tighten it up a bit. Place those two internal lines along the collar, then use the segment sewing tool to sew the collar, but you may need to move those internal lines to adjust. You don't want it too tight or too loose. However, if you do want to tighten things up a bit, use the tack tool. Before you simulate, select all of those tie pieces and change their layer number to 1. The lower the number, the closer to the body, so as you layer more garments on, you'll have to increase that number. And that looks pretty good. So now in the 3D window, we can grab the top of the collar, bring it down, activate it, and set its layer number to 2. Let's hit simulate. And you're going to see this. This is called Z fighting. This is where the garments are trying to figure out where they need to be in space. But since you've assigned a layer number, the necktie will be on top of the shirt, and then the collar will be on top of the necktie. Although this turns green, it's going to look normal in the render, so don't worry. Now let's make a zip-up cardigan. I'm going to use the garment file from my hooded sweatshirt video that I showed you before because it already has a waistband and cuffs. When adding a garment, by the way, make sure to save it first and then select Add. And let's organize this 2D window using pure magic. Voila! Okay, good. Now, delete the hood, and before you simulate, select all the sweatshirt pieces and change their layer to number 3. Draw an internal line down the center of the front pattern and cut. And let's do the same for the waistband. Simulate and allow the Z-fighting to resolve. It's going to take a minute, so just let it hang out, and you can gently tug on things, but basically it will resolve because you've selected the correct order of the layers. Once the fighting is resolved, pull the cardigan slightly apart. You'll see we do not need all of the necktie here, so use an internal line and cut off the bottom and tack it in place. Now we can use the zipper tool. We're going to do this in the 3D window. So you're going to click on one side and slowly move your mouse down, down, down to the bottom of the pattern piece here, then double click to finish. It helps to have the cardigan open a little bit, so if you have to pull it apart slightly, that's a good idea. Repeat the same process for the other side. Click once, move it down to the bottom, then double click again. And you can see mine aren't perfectly lined up, so you can use the zipper selection tool over here to move the zipper location, just like you do with the edit sewing tool. Now hit simulate, and it will take a few minutes for the Z-fighting to resolve once again. Now you can select the zipper with the selection tool and modify the pull, changing its material to metal. You can change the color, and then you can do the same for the teeth. And when you select it with the zipper tool, you can also change the tape color and modify other attributes. I'm going to choose a blue color for my tape. Now let's add a cable knit pattern. Select the fabric in the object browser, then go to your piece color here and choose the 4 dots, and select the map for this pattern. Generate a normal map and a displacement map. And once generated, change the displacement map to 2. I'm going to offset it just a little bit, and that will show up in the render. Now I'm going to add the woven pattern to the sleeves. Create a new fabric and use the same method to apply the normal map and then the displacement map afterwards. And now we're going to add the cabling down the side of the sleeve. So for that braided cable, we're going to add it as a graphic on top. Choose your graphic tab, then add a new graphic, and drag the graphic on top of the sleeve and right click it, choosing tile. Then select the correct axis that will allow it to repeat infinitely. Scale and rotate and position it. And then back over here on the graphic tab, click the graphic, Then change the base color, again to match the zipper tape. This graphic will not appear in the render. And that's because our offset is not enough to make it go past the graphic that we applied for the sleeve. So what we'll need to do is go back over here to the graphic tab, then use the graphic transform tool, select it in the 2D window, then down here at the bottom you can see you can choose a Z offset. We're going to go with 1.25, so that's going to be a 1/4 inch more Z offset than the graphic underneath it. So now you go to the render window and you can see that that will appear. Okay, let's finish the sweater by adding a collar. This is going to be a tapered collar that's made in 3 sections. Once you have this basic shape drawn in, you're trying to match this to the existing pattern. Segment sew them together and then place them into position in the 3D window by selecting, right-clicking, and choosing Superimpose Over. And let's right click it again in the 3D window and choose Strengthen. But before you simulate, change the collar layer number and let's choose 4 for this one. And this is going to make it look orange, but it's okay in the render window, it'll look normal. And just give it the appropriate stiffness needed for it to pop up. Okay, and the last thing we need is a waistband, cuff, and collar material. So create a new fabric and follow the same pattern as with the other ones, adding the knit graphic. And then make sure to scale this one really small. Right now you have a pretty convincing layered zipper front cardigan sweater. And I hope this was helpful in learning how to use layering to make multiple garments work together as an outfit in Clo3D. Good luck!